Reality is this, that our existence as both life and planet are threatened in ways that were inconceivable just a few years ago. Biologically speaking, although the threats are endless, the reality of those threats can be constructed by two very easy things to understand. Quote, this is from the Guardian company, it's a website, written on September 9, 2001. Scientists have created the ultimate GM crop, or mutilated crop. It is contraceptive corn, or for that matter starch. Wheat works too, I guess. They said, we have a hothouse filled with corn plants that make anti-sperm antibodies, said Epicite President Mitch Hein. Contraceptive corn is based on research on the rare condition immune infertility, in which a woman, or more distinctly this genetic DNA mutilation, allows for one group to send food starches, bread, cereals, that kind of thing, to another group. Regardless of the method, it's just a matter of advertising to the target group that causes this genetic mutilation. This cereal grain causes permanent sperm alteration in men, sterility. It is said to remove the tail from the sperm, which means it cannot swim itself up the vagina in plain terms, thereby making it unable to move. It just sort of drops there, and it can't get to the egg, and it can't get in the egg, and so on. There's also a chemical change caused from it in women that will kill the sperm, destroying the tail again so that it cannot move once it enters the vagina. It's just, basically dead sperm, causing sterility for all or any living creature that has sperm or uses sperm for conception of the next generation. In other words, this one genetic trait released upon nature can reduce the creature population of our planet to zero. You have to have sperm to fertilize an egg, or you have to do it by mixing it together in a test tube. A knife pokes a hole in the egg, and then they insert the sperm that way. Of course, that can't be done throughout society or for every creature, and that means, let's just consider that for a minute in agriculture. If the sperm doesn't work, you don't have any more next generation, no meat of any kind to eat. That's the end result of that kind of thing. If it gets let loose in nature and can't be, it's like AIDS. You just once it's out, who can say that you could ever get it back? Anyway, we also have a quote from Discover magazine, 2003, August 1st, that now, geneticists have equipped plants with the terminator gene. In other words, they grow up just like any other plant, with one crucial exception. The plants don't produce any seed. The plant is there, no seed. From Nature.com, there has been a seed patent case in the Supreme Court, and more distinctly to you, the genetic mutilation that can render all plants on Earth sterile means no plant food will occur either. That's the next generation, and without seed that actually germinates to produce seed, not just a plant, but to produce the seed itself, we will not have any plants. This is very simple math. Without seeds that produce seeds, there is no future for a plant. Nor is there food from those seeds, growing to maturation for you to eat, or anything else to eat for that matter. So the reality of this, moment in our lives is that the universities, geneticists, have made a doomsday machine out of our biology. With just a couple of tiny DNA manipulations in nature, no life can be left on Earth. That's just how it is. Like any pandemic that ever existed, once released, no one can say for certain just how far a disease, nature, as is the disciplines, balance, and order of a body attacked, will go. Nature alone defends us. Take away that nature by destroying its DNA, and we have nothing to survive the future with. The children are dead. Its sperm doesn't work. If it gets out to a point where it's invaded life, and you can't just, stop it, which of course we can't stop what they just simply throw into nature. That's the whole thing of geneticists. Every single one of them, once they mutilate something, they take it right outside to get it in nature as fast as they can, so that if it lives at all, so that they try to infect something else. They want to see what happens. Again and again and again. Millions probably are across the world today. All of them doing it as fast as they can. The Monsanto company states the use of Terminator seeds, the genetic mutilation placed into seeds, is restricted technologies that could be applied to seeds to remedy their intellectual property issues. They don't want you to grow your own seed. They want to sell you seed. That stem from seed saving, but the seed industry says it may never be able to actually use the developed technologies. That is the blanket statement for the seed producing industry. They say it's never been put into production, never allowed into the fields. However, my brother-in-law and sister are farmers. And around 2001 or somewhere in there, I don't remember when, but bear in mind, until the media reports it of some sort, media of some sort reports it, the experimentation in biology, energy, everything goes on entirely behind closed doors. And that stuff can exist for years before it is known what they are in fact doing. Nonetheless, back to my brother-in-law and sister, one year they had, if memory is correct, roughly 80 acres of corn. A field that they planted to one seed, one particular seed, in the genetic version of what you buy. And that entire field did not produce a single ear of seed. The plants looked good, but not one ear of corn was on the entire field. So as to the purpose of farming, their field was a complete disaster. You plant it, it grows, now it's, in there, you can't do it over after it's grown to the point where you're supposed to have a seed, to sell, crop to sell. They just lost that field. The seed sellers said at the time, they laid on their label that, only about 97% of any bag of seed is supposed to grow. They say 3%, or they used to say 3% is supposed to be inert. That's what they claimed. It was some kind of excuse. I forget what. At the time, it was expected that this is simply a part of nature, and not all seeds will grow in nature. So, it wasn't a concern. However, with this field of plants that did not produce seed, the whole field, the company said, well, the inert corn that was supposed to be mixed in with the rest of the crops, at just 3% for the whole bag, must have ended up all of it in the same bag instead of being mixed. They just got the wrong bag. But that single statement says, we know which seed will grow into plants that produce a crop. Or we know which ones are not going to produce seed to grow, to produce a crop. Which means it's a choice. In other words, that field proves that Terminator gene was in the field. My brother-in-law and sister got nothing from the seed company for a field that, they paid for but didn't get, basically, even though they had an entire field approved. Unfortunately, it never even occurred to me that they would not hire an attorney, contact various types of media in agriculture, insist your mistake, and we will get paid. Until it was too late, the field of evidence was gone. I would have intervened if I had known they would not. The moral of the story is, if society lets its members fear the courtroom and its lawyers, then society gets crushed, and the criminals control everything. So let's look again at the agricultural industry for a lesson. Another one. To gain more from a single cow, and the beauty contest, that is, well, we like this one better in agriculture, in let's say in cows. Some are prettier than others, so they sell for more. Agriculture began implanting fertilized eggs from the beautiful cows into the ugly cows. Surrogate cows. So you can get a pretty calf, cheaper. It worked for the first calf, which bore significant outside traits of the two parents that were, provided the sperm and the egg. However, when the calf grew to have its own babies, those calves also inherited traits of the ugly cow mother. That has to do with blood transfer in the womb. More distinctly to you, another thing that the universities are doing and intend to do is to make organs in mice and in pigs and so on, and use them in people. It's proceeding along every day. The intent to use pig's blood. They're trying to genetically alter pig's blood by adding human DNA into the pig's blood is proceeding, as are endless genetic experiments to intertwine every species in some form by using genetic DNA and mutilating one with the other. DNA is nature, and that is the truth. It builds the bodies of life. Without DNA, there is no nature. Consequently, as predicted biblically, Armageddon, which means nature in chaos, that's its actual definition, stands at our door. And the door is already cracked open a bit. If you try thinking for a second, we would say, stop that. You can't do that. But because media reports extremely little of anything that actually does matter, power lets the university control everything. They control everything. They play with everything. They gamble with everything. They threaten everything. Not to worry, the university says, it's like global warming. We're trying to ignite sunfire here on Earth, or playing with a Big Bang, the single most destructive event in the history of the universe. That happens at CERN. Or destroying ocean life, or dumping trillions of tons of poison onto the water supplies, or using all the resources at once and throwing them in the garbage, etc., etc., etc. Because a university diploma, which runs the media, governments, and business, and banking, and more, are all demanding nothing shall be done about the risk. Nothing shall be stopped. We don't want it stopped. We want our toys and our trophies. Nothing shall be learned about the consequences of being wrong in these things until the horror of those decisions cannot be undone. That's what they say. It's global warming or any of it. They bring out their little trophy professors and what have you and say, oh, it can't be so, it can't be so. Not enough data, and all that stuff, because they're waiting for a point where absolutely there's nothing left that we can do. The point of no return has passed, and now there's nothing we can do to change it, and we all get to die. That's what they wait for. And of course, we all know that the universities cannot be questioned or made to account for their delusions. They're God. They want to play God, and they do play God. And fortunately for your life and mine, they play the destroyer, or Satan. It's a religious word, but like it or not, it means the destroyer of a world. So it fits. Hell, don't worry what could go wrong. That's basically what they tell you. Don't worry. What could go wrong? The university is in control. What could go wrong? Well, we can see what goes wrong. We certainly see the beginning of what goes wrong. And if we let it go beyond the point where we can actually, do something about it and stop the destruction, we die. But then you are believers in the university. It is your savior. Isn't that so? Well, nothing can go wrong. We know the saviors at the university are too smart for that. Even though the majority of the people there did not know how to get along with society or community or even in high school. They are some of the people who are standing on the back walls. And do you think they might hate those who did not treat them fairly in schools? Who being locked in a room without any windows, no social life or any of that? That's not fair. But that's a kind of life many of them lived, and they just might not be happy with you. Even so, that group, the university elite, extra special smart, they're the intellectuals, they're the people who can create traps, and do. And they did bankrupt us all. I guess they had the last laugh, but maybe it wasn't enough. The evidence says that we're threatened everywhere. And in terms of biology, they do have all their weapons of mass destruction, which are intensifying the worst diseases humanity have ever known, so that nobody lives, unless maybe they have an antidote for themselves. But they won't live anyway. Nonetheless, they add descriptions of the disease that they actually, made in the laboratory as a weapon, or just a claim that can invade us all. Or more simple methods, such as, destroying the ozone, says that radiation makes it impossible to live for any length of time. But more than anything else, the invasion of sunfire, is unrestrained. Once they ignite it, that sunfire that exists from 91 million miles away in the summer and burns your skin will not be extinguished. Once they ignite it, this planet will burn just like a sun. Then, without water to drink, any number of threats face us all. Who the fuck cares? Don't worry though, there's always cannibalism, isn't there? War will destroy every part and every piece of food production, so, what you get is cannibalism. Isn't that so? Or you can have their evolutionary answer. The university says, in 1 billion years or so, everything will come back. Evolution will fix it if they screw it all up. You want to wait 1 billion years? And then, of course, evolution has no tools, no sensors, no information, no brain, no food to eat when they arrive, no means of reproduction or anything else. It's just a robot basically in the university mind until they fix it. But alas, evolution has no fixer. It's just chaos. That's what they say. Chaos brought life here. The greatest description of chaos that we can find is here on Earth is the fire on the sun. Take a look up at that fire from 91 million miles and imagine that here. The universities are trying to bring their God here. A fire that runs at 10 million degrees, can't be put out, 1 million miles long. Well, hell. What won't their religion think of next? Bring that fire here, even though they can't put that fire out. And they know it. They say it'll just put itself out, just so it's simple. We can end up with the California drought is not over. Your scientists, scientists for the state of Illinois and central Illinois, say with certainty in this area it takes 50 inches of rain to produce 1 inch of aquifer recharge. Therefore, anyone dependent upon an aquifer for water remains in serious trouble, and that speaks only to the upper aquifers, not the really deep ones. They won't be recharged. Not to forget, In California, if I remember right, industry has been found contaminating what they claim are dry aquifers with toxic waste. And they're pumping the toxic waste into the aquifers because it's really easy to do and it's cheap. But alas, the aquifer can never be filled again, or it can never be used. Water won't work. Or more simply, what you don't know can in fact easily cause your complete destruction of the world, your children, everything. And people say, don't need to worry. Well, how about this? Without water in California, or anywhere else, your property is completely worthless. But your debts will remain. Without water, you have very few time, a little time to find it, or you die. And everybody else will say, well, you can't have ours. We don't have enough. Bringing us all to the question of how much don't you know for real? Investigated by truth and complete transparency, so you can honestly understand. We need to find out exactly what can and will go wrong so that we can take whatever measure we can come up with by reality and truth and make decisions that will protect our lives. We have to do that. It's just not a game. We have to do that. Threats that you don't know exist for real, and we are not living in a time when we have the option not to be involved. It's just how it is. 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 It's just how it is.